Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Train Man, and welcome back to the Zombie Train episode 164? Yeah. Because last episode ended in a 3. Wait, is it 60? Are we really that far in? Hold on. Let me look. Yeah, 164. Damn. Alright. That means we've been doing this for a long, long time. Anyways. I haven't been telling stories for long, but before I get to that again, we work on most of the old main. Generally, this area, it's all terrain work for this section, because I'm quite excited a little bit with how the old main is working and coming out. I don't want to leave a lot of terrain work behind to go do, because I'm basing a lot of my trackage more on terrain than anything else now, you know, because I feel like it's more deserving of that, you know. It's instead of I'm slowly learning that the way the track goes and the way the terrain goes sort of meld together, and you shouldn't necessarily do one all ahead of the other. You know, you normally do track first and then you do terrain, but anyways, I'm doing a little bit more of terrain work as we're working on the track so I can sort some stuff out, and I'm making the track, you know, be problematic in the way it's set up. You know, as in they had to work to put it through the terrain here. Anyways, where I left off last week, I had just ridden the Cape Cod Canal Bridge on its emergency descent down and landed on the east side of the channel. The Constitution being towed by the Block Island, the ferry, the MV Block Island, was being towed out, and by the time the bridge landed, they were already a few miles away. Maybe not a few miles, but they were some distance away. They were, you know, far enough away, and there wasn't any place to put, you know, to come to port. There wasn't really a plan for me right here. I didn't have a radio, because I was short-sighted. I didn't have the boat was on the other side of the channel, there were zombies over there. I didn't have my gun, the gun was in the channel because I dropped it like a moron. And now there were zombies coming out of the woods on the east side as well. So I was fairly surrounded, and the Trincomalee, which was drawing up their anchor and trying to tack back up the channel, had some people that decided to take some pot shots at me, and they weren't very good at it. Not saying they were bad shots, but you're on a pitching, rolling deck. And the wind is blowing into your sails and stuff like that, you know. It's not a stable platform to be shooting, clearly. So one of them winged me, but didn't do any real damage. It just caught my shirt, and the rest of them missed. Then they started focusing on the zombies. A couple of them did, although they may have just been missing me, I don't know. Either way. So I said last time I met up with them back in Quonset. I met up with the Constitution and stuff back in Quonset. Well, that wasn't, you know, I made it sound like it was all peaches and cream. It's not how it was. I had to find a way to get out of there. Now, what I figured was, if I can find like a yacht club, I'm by the water, I figured if I could find a yacht club, then I would be A-okay. There would be boats, because just like freaking Pompeii, everyone runs to the ocean side when trouble's coming. And a lot of people did try to make it off of their boats, but a couple of them would just get eaten alive sort of at the docks, you know. The people who waited a little bit too long. Anyways, there was one way, you know, right across the bridge in Buzzards Bay, but that was too dangerous. Again, I had no means of fighting the zombies at this point. I was just on the run. And the shooters on the Trincomalee were helping. A little. Not really, but they were firing shots and attracting more zombies, so maybe they weren't helping at all. But I figured the bridge coming down would make enough noise that it alerted everyone, you know, everyone dead or alive in a several-mile radius, that, hey, fresh meat. Not that people cannibalized very much. It was zombies eating people most of the time. But anyways, I figured best bet for me was to get to a yacht club. I wanted to follow the water's edge, but that wasn't really in the playbook, so what I did was I followed the tracks. I followed them southbound, along Cape Cod. And there are two runs in Cape Cod. One of them was the one that ran out to the tip, and currently runs out about halfway into Hyannis. Or a little bit past Hyannis, maybe. Well, part of it runs into Hyannis. The other terminates sort of in the middle of nowhere. And then the second run that I'm thinking of... The second run that I'm thinking of terminates at an airport. I knew there was nothing for me there. I did not know how to fly a plane. So that was, Otis Air National Guard Base. I figured, okay, there's probably going to be some weapons there. Don't think it's worth making the run there. So I followed the tracks. And what is this? Oh, that's a bike path. I did not get to where the tracks turn to the bike path. Again, I wanted to find the closest yacht club and try to steal a boat. The closest yacht club that I ended up seeing was almost, it was over 1.5 miles down the tracks. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I mismeasured. Oh, wait, no, there's one right there. Is that it? That's not it. I'm looking at the map. I'm trying to remember this place. What was it called? It was at Monument Beach. Let me see. Oh yeah, it was more than 1.5 miles. It was about 2 miles. So, I'm not exactly running 8-minute miles. It took me 20-30 minutes to get this distance. It was still pretty quick compared to running from zombies. But, compared to the speed at which they were running. But I started getting towards the actual station at Monument Beach, and there were a couple of them hanging around. So I know I had no option there. I had zombies behind me, which fortunately they were far enough behind me they weren't making any noise. So I sort of ducked into the woods, went to the water's edge, snuck along the edge. There were some mansions over there. No boats docked there. Nobody alive, nobody dead. I figured a lot of the people were a lot of the dead were sort of in towards the town or even moving back towards the bridge because I'd already had to dodge a couple in my 30-minute run. All you've got to do is stay out of arm's reach. It's not that hard until they outlast you, which they will. So I get to the Monument Beach thing and there's, most of the boats are gone. And I start to get a little bit worried. I can't sail a sailboat by myself, don't know how to do that. There's, out of the amount of boats left, there's a couple of them, based on the picture that I'm looking at here, most of them are speedboats. I'm not sure if there are any sailboats here, in this picture. But I know a couple of them were, little dingy sailboats. Again, wasn't going to try that. A couple little cabin cruisers. And one pretty good-sized cabin cruiser, which looked like it had been fortified. And I was sort of drawn to it. There was something, I'm not trying to say there was something weird about this boat, but it was, one of those 3-deck cabin cruisers, and the windows were boarded up, and there was blood on the dock, and I didn't know if the zombies had fallen off or gone into the water, or were still inside. So I approached very, very carefully. And now I could see, I looked back along the dock and I could see, okay, the zombies are coming out of town. There's a couple of them wandering down the tracks. One of them spotted me, he's wandering this way, he's moaning, the other one's to me, blah, blah, blah. It's basically, at this point, my mind ticks over to, if there are any zombies in these boats, I'm gonna have to jump into the water. And I don't want that. I have stuff in my pockets, I'm not okay with trashing. Not that I really had much, to be honest, but it was sort of like... The zombie train had power, so I had some holdovers from, a long time ago. I had like an iPod, and I would have had my phone, but again, I was pretty short-sighted. I left everything behind and went overboard in a boat off the Constitution. So, I didn't want to go in the water, just simply for the sake of being in the water. I wasn't going to be able to run as fast, I wasn't going to be able to move as fast, and I didn't know where to go from there. So, I didn't know where another yacht club was. I couldn't see one. Couldn't see a single other boat, although there were a couple anchored out, but I wasn't sure. I knew the ones anchored out, if the people got to them, if the people got to the anchored boats, they would have been able to, get the hell out of there. The zombies would not have been following them on the dinghy unless one of them had already contracted the virus and it was, was harboring it. Because it takes a little while to work through your system. I'm not going to be going over the individual stages of zombification here. If you want that, go read World War Z. Or, even better, read the Zombie Survival Guide. That's actually got a better, sort of, impersonal breakdown. So, I figured the boats out there aren't going to have keys in them. On top of that, the sailboats, which don't need keys, I'm not going to be able to do anything with. So, and I assume there's something in place to keep you from stealing a sailboat. Other than the Constitution, apparently. So, I get out of this cabin cruiser, and now there's zombies on the beach, and they're just they're walking in straight lines towards me. They're not going towards the dock. The quote-unquote smart zombie, he fell off the bridge into the canal. He tried to follow me. He wasn't too good at it. I would have given her a name. But, nah. Got out of this boat. Possibly one of the creepiest things I've ever been. Again, there's blood on the dock. There's boarded up windows, there's broken glass. I work one of the doors open, and it was barricaded. But the zombies had done a number to that barricade. So I pulled one of the doors open. I get inside, and the place smells terrible. It's, again, zombies don't really have much of an odor. So it was the sort of thing like, what is going on here? I if there had been a zombie in there, I would not have known at the point, but I was still a little bit panicky, but he probably would have known I was there, and he would have been clanking around at the shade. The only thing I could feel was sort of the rhythmic, back and forth of the waves against the boat. Some things were clanging around. I finally get to the source of the smell, and thank God for my heart, it was not a decayed, rotting corpse. Not that I would have expected it to come back, because that's not really how that works. If somebody's already rotting, they don't have the virus. It is, but they probably would have attracted all the zombies with the smell. It was some food items, some, like meat. I didn't want to identify, could not identify the kind of meat. But I sort of ignored it. And it stepped back outside, got a breath of fresh air, went back in. Found the keys left in the ignition of the boat on the third story once I got up there. Again, blood splatter. I found a couple of shells, or not seashells, but like shotgun shells scattered about. No guns to be seen. So again, I don't know what happened to these people. I assume they got taken in, and then they probably fell off the boat after they died, or even before they died. Again, zombies are not buoyant, so they'd be on the bottom of the water. So I got this thing started up, cast off, and started heading southbound. Started heading southbound towards Quonset. At this point, the dredger was still working. We'd worked out a very loose arrangement with Donadio to get the Constitution berthed in at Quonset Point. He didn't really like it, but it was sort of like, hey, I'm commander of the zombie train. We're supplying your stuff. Get over it, or else we're not supplying you any more stuff. And for a little while there, he was trying to go on about how he would go his own way. And it just really wasn't feasible. Nobody was buying it. I don't think he was buying it. So it was sort of like, okay, I'll make this, short deal with the Islanders to get the Constitution in here. We'll get it rounded up and everything. So we finally got the Constitution berthed. I motored in on my own boat some hours later, in the dead of night, like 1 a.m. I was amazed I had the fuel to get from Buzzards Bay to Quonset Point. But, the god, whatever god there is, if there is one, smiled upon me that day. But really, I just got lucky. If I had gotten stranded out in the middle of Buzzards Bay, out in the middle of Block Island Sound or Nantucket Sound without any fuel, I would have been a goner. Almost definitely. Because there was no way for me to paddle the damn thing to shore. It was huge. Well, it was huge for a little cabin cruiser. It wasn't, it wasn't Rockefeller's yacht or anything like that if he had one. He probably had one. He was a rich guy. I got motored into Quonset Point. Got a few guns pointed at me until they realized who I was. But motored into Quonset Point just the same. Everyone's like, oh, gee, we're wondering where you were. Thank God you're alright. We're going to send a scouting party, and then I realized, hey, wait a minute, where's the train? They were already looking for me. I'll see you guys next week. Trainman out.